that afternoon, that gangster guy come over and he put the gun in my head. And he's like, no, you're done here. Because supposedly I was talking bad about him. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he was just right there. And somebody was, like, hey, you need to don't do that, stuff like that. But he didn't have any bullets inside.
Oh, wow.
And he just shoot it and just to teach me a lesson. So it was the moment. It was very, and I was like, man, of course God was there, like, wow.
Hey everybody, welcome to LED Live. Today we're going to get into Alex Castillejos' story on how you came to work with Little Light, because today's actually a monumental day in Alex's next chapter of his life. What's going on, Alex?
Well, it's the last day working for full time in Little Light Studios, but I've been working with you guys, for 9 years, volunteering for Little Light Studios in Spanish. But
a decade. This man has worked with our ministry. He's given a lot of blood, sweat, tears to our work. In fact, I think out of all the people that have worked through Little Light Studios, it corrects me if I'm wrong, but aren't you kind of the longest standing? You came on board before Keith, really.
Yeah, maybe like 6 months or 8 months or something.
Even though you weren't full-time, Keith kind of joined up and was full-time before you were. But Alex has been working with this ministry the 2011. Longest over anyone else, other than myself, I guess, maybe. But man, it's been a joy serving with you. And Alex has a passion for people's personal testimonies. He has a channel called Just Be Blessed. You should check it out. We'll put a link in the description below. But it's really neat. He loves personal testimonies. You've done some really amazing ones over the years.
Yeah, right now it's like 170 testimonies.
Beautiful. 170 testimonies. That's awesome. I hope that you continue to do that, because I like learning about why people do what they do, and what drove you to this point in your life. To me, you see this common thread of how God is working with everybody, and there's these moments that just transform your life. So we're going to get in that today. We're going to flip the script. And instead of you interviewing, I want to hear a little bit of your story. Let's start all the way back. Give us a little background, Alex, of, were you raised in Christianity? What was your childhood like?
Well, yes. I'm from Mexico. I grew up in South Mexico, and in a Christian home. My parents, they were Catholics, but when they got married, and I'm the last of 3 brothers, right?
The oldest, right?
Yeah, I'm the youngest.
Oh, you're the youngest.
I'm the youngest.
So you got 2 older ones.
That's 2 more. And so I grew up, in a Christian home. I didn't grow up Catholics and all those, things that we need to do. And, as a culture in Mexico, sometimes you're thinking like, oh, but that's Catholic. No, but it's like also in the culture. So it's very mixed. Sometimes you do things, and sometimes we do things as a Mexican, right? And you think, well, that's Catholic. No, it's kind of like if you don't do things, it's like, well, you're not Mexican if you don't celebrate the day of the Day of the Dead, Dia de los Muertos.
Yeah.
So but it's kind of mixed with the faith too, because you go Catholic. It's very mixing. So as a Christian person, as a family, my parents, they taught me, the Bible and the Bible alone. The faith of Jesus, knowing the statutes, you don't repeat prayers, the 4 commandments, the 7-day Sabbath, and the 10 commandments. We need to observe that. So that's where I grew up, and of course, so growing up in Mexico with these kind of influences around you, that you thinking that it's traditional, and that's how it's people, but you have your own beliefs. I grew up as a Christian, so I said, no, I'm not doing that kind of stuff. So I went 3 years going to a public school, elementary school, and they were doing, celebrating some stuff that my parents taught me, we don't do that,
That's not okay.
That's not okay. And it was kind of like, the guy in the corner, I'm not eating that kind of stuff because it was offering to the idols. I don't dance, that kind of stuff, things like that.
Yeah. So you had more of a sort of an more innocent childhood.
Yes, growing up. But later on, you go to some family members that they have. Do you remember those huge antenna on the top, the satellites or something like that?
Yeah. You could watch all the latest and greatest movies on DirecTV. I don't know if it was DirecTV, but
it was. Well, my cousins in that time, I was maybe, I was like maybe 7 years old, right? I mean, all in the 80s, and the thing is that they used to watch, MTV. You know how it was MTV before, but it was just videos,
right?
And you watch and listen and all this stuff, and
which music is so incredibly powerful over our character development. You know what I mean? Like
so true.
There's been quotes from Boetius and I mean people in the 6th century BCE that basically say, listen, if you want to examine a people's character, look at the music that they listen to. Wow. It can actually shape that. So if you're paying attention to that type of worldly music, ultimately it's going to impact your decisions down the road.
Yeah, and very interesting what you're saying, because that first, of course you listen, what your parents listen, and more like traditional music, and but in that kind of music, my cousin, they listen, rock and roll, rock and heavy metal and things like that. So of course, Bon Jovi, Tesla, Poison, those kind of groups, in the 80s, Guns N' Roses and everything. So you just listen to that kind of stuff, you're thinking like, that's really cool, right? And then later on, somebody gave me a tape of Guns N' Roses when I was in middle school, and that was just like the idol. I mean, that was just the music, and I used to listen to some crazy music, just to share. Angels of Hell, or Hell Angels, is a group from South America. And just the music. I mean, they used to say a lot of bad things about God. I'm not kidding you. I don't want to say that. But just, have you heard people saying, I like the music. I don't care about what they say, but I like the rhythm.
Yeah. People don't really probably dive too deep into their sort of, lyrics and, why did they say that or why did they do that? I mean, there was a lot of bands like Tool and Rage Against the Machine and all sorts of stuff that I was also watching or paying attention to in the same era. And I mean, I know that those things directly influence my decisions down the road. Yeah.
So in 7th grade, that was, if you want to find out like where was the moment, you grew up as a Christian, you go to church and, youth and everything. But when I was like 13 and a half, like that 14, before 15, I'm sure, started listening to Ozzy Osbourne. I used to put that Ozzy here.
Oh, wow.
And I used to, I used to have long hair, and I used to let it grow, and I used to dye my hair in green, red, all black, and I don't know. I mean, it's just that type, that type of music. Yeah, it goes to the lifestyle.
Yeah, music kind of bypasses all of our mental thinking and logical reasoning and everything, and it cuts straight to the heart. And so I think when you really bypass the mechanisms in the brain and you're just like planting, words and memories burned into your memory pool, those things, you start to see, you kind of start dressing like those artists, or you start talking like them, or if you see them, I mean, that's why music videos were so powerful. You start engaging in the things that you're watching.
Yeah, and the thing is that I changed my dress, all black, and t-shirts, like all those black t-shirts and everything, and the thing is that maybe you're gonna be asking me, did your parents see that? I mean, what they were thinking?
Yeah, what did they think?
Well, it's very sad what I'm going to say, but lying, it was the king of my life.
So you're like, oh, yeah, I'm not into anything bad.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. I mean, I'm going to go to some friend's house. We're going to do just a little birthday, and no, I mean, I was at the other side of the, I grew up in the big city, the capital, right? So I was on the other side of where I used to live, and smoking, drinking, and do all the stuff, But the thing is that in Mexico, I mean, I don't know right now, but it's very sad sometimes you're thinking, oh, it's kind of cute or funny or something, but you don't have to. You need to be like, 21 to go to the store and purchase alcohol. You need to. I mean, you can go in the little store in the corner, and they say, hey, I would like to have a 40 or something like that, and they just sell it to you. And you see the little kids, like maybe like 5-6 years old, go and ask for the 40 for the dad, and the little kid is walking with the 40 and give it to. I mean, it's very sad, know. No. And that was in the time. You don't have to have an ID to buy that kind of stuff.
Wow.
So you're like 13, 14 and listen to that kind of music, hang out with the wrong crowd, and started doing all this stuff.
Wow.
Really young age.
So you start engaging in rebellious activities. And I mean, at this time, are you still attending church? Do you kind of have one foot in the world, one foot out?
Yes. I used to go to church. My dad, it gets to that point where he's saying that rebellions, because, now I'm a parent, I'm thinking like, wow, how much I give to my parents, like to get to the point that they explode or something like that. I remember my dad, he told me, hey, it's time to go to church, and I used to dress not very like very nice to go to church or something like that, like t-shirts and everything, like not very nice what it's saying or things like that. And I used to tell my dad, if you want me to go to church, I'm gonna dress like this. And I was like 15, and I'm sure my dad was something, but he didn't. He said, okay, that's fine, but you go to church. And of course you go to church and you're like thinking about whatever's in your mind, But the thing is that they never say, well, you stay home, come over here, things like that. You say, no, you go to church. But now I can think that I hurt my parents very bad.
Yeah, you don't think about that during the time that you're going through that. I had a very similar experience as well. I was, starting to hang out with the wrong people, starting to engage in the wrong activities, and even against the caution of my parents. I remember having conversations with my dad and him telling me, like, I don't think you should go to Hollywood and do that. And I was like, yeah, whatever, Dad, I'm gonna go there and do my thing. And I look back on it now. I mean, I probably severely hurt them in their hopefulness that I would engage into something of a quality of life or something, and instead of just trying to chase fame and money. So I think when I came back into the ministry, obviously they were happy about that. But we've had some conversations about that too. So you don't think about your actions as harming your parents, but many times it's like we as parents, we can see further down the line than you can see when you're a kid, and we know this road is going in a bad direction.
Exactly. So that was the time. I'm not kidding you. The 7th grade to senior, that was crazy years. I mean, we're talking about like 5-6 years of like nothing.
A lot of selfish living.
Exactly. And it was some moments that I was like, what I'm doing here? You know what I'm saying? Like God saved me for that situation. Like, of course it was God. I mean, for that situation. And I was like, the thing is that you don't learn for the first one. I don't know why. Like, why is not the first one you think like, oh my goodness, I need to just stop and go to God right now, But I didn't, until later on.
So what was your kind of like transformation? What really brought you back into a space where you even wanted a relationship with God?
Yeah. Well, let me tell you, my middle brother, always in the church. Like, seriously, I cannot even think about like he did something really bad. Like something what I did, not. My older brother, we need to pray for him. His name is Oel. So somebody want to pray for him, please. But my middle brother always in the church. He was married. I was maybe I don't know, maybe like 17, 16 or something like that. But of course, dressing and listening to music and things like that. And he came to me one time, and every time I see my brother, I'm not kidding you, it's like my stomach, it was like, of course, darkness and light. I mean, you cannot mix that, So it's like every time I see my brother, it's like, hi, how you doing? That's it. I mean, don't tell me what to do or anything like that. But let me tell you, I I believe that he pray a lot before he's gonna talk to me, what he's going to say to me, because it was the Holy Spirit.
Wow.
He come to me and told me, can you give me 2 hours of the 24 hours God gives you? And I'm like, man, that's very cool what you say, but I never heard that before, but it was a huge, powerful thing, because that means that the time you live in doesn't belong to you.
Right.
So can you give me 2 hours of what the 24 hours God gives you?
Right.
And I'm like, whoa, that's really cool. So, okay. And I said, 2 hours. I'm going to hang out with my friends. Hurry up. I mean, I had some attitude like, like no patience or nothing, right? So I was like, okay, sounds good. So I would sit down. So he come to me and share with me in the book of Daniel. The book of Daniel is the judgment day. And I don't remember exactly, but the Asian, the older, he sit down and the books are open. So judgment. So it's kind of like, okay, this is the book of memory, the book of life, the book of, So every time you and he would tell me that this kind of book is all the things that we done, and it's written down, everything.
I remember hearing a sermon on this one time that really kind of stuck in my mind, because we've all grown up with this idea that God is writing down everything. He's up there just waiting for us to mess up, and then he's writing it down so he could like show you. But it's really the devil that's the accuser, right?
That's right.
What if God was writing down all of those things to show the pattern of your life, and he's looking for that specific moment that gives him the right to save you? And it's like, you're like, look, right here. Alex thought of me, and he started like he gave me 2 hours of his time out of the day. It's like that thought totally changed the way that God was, like he's just up there trying to write stuff down. That writing of stuff down is so that we can see a record of what happened down here, and we will see how many times God tried to reach somebody, how many times that they said no, and God basically gave them what they wanted. Hey, I don't want you, God. I tried 500,000 times to reach that person. Eventually, I had to give them what they wanted, and so it's an interesting way to look at it, but I think God writes them down, not obviously for his own reasons, but it's for us to see where God has worked in our lives.
Well, I'm sure, because my brother was telling me, he said, this is the book of you, is all the stuff that we've done, right? And he said, but let me tell you, this is the book of life. The book of life is whatever you've done here before, if you don't have the blood of the Lamb, you cannot erase that. You need to have the blood of the Lamb and change your life. You need to give your life to Jesus, and that's gonna erase that, so you can be in the book. I mean, I was like, I mean, that's pretty cool, like, wow. And then he went to the book of Revelation, and he was telling me, he said, what happened, after 1,000 years, Jesus is gonna come, and then we're gonna go to heaven for 1,000 years. But after 1,000 years, the Bible said, the new Jerusalem is going to come down. The holy city is going to come down with the redeemers inside, right? But outside the city, it's going to be the second death. It doesn't have the second resurrection. It doesn't have no power. The Castillejos family is going to be inside. I don't want to see my little brother to be outside the city.
I've actually thought of this moment in my own family as well. That thought has been on my mind of just like, man, we're all in the valley of decision here. We're all accountable for all of us choosing God or not. Yeah. And it's like, what if, our direct family members don't choose? I mean, think of that moment.
Exactly.
That there will be a group inside and there will be a group outside. There's no middle ground. You're either on Satan's side or you're on God's side.
It's just only two sides. That's it.
Wow.
So he just told me about that, and I'm just like, wow. Like, I never thought of that approach, right? Yeah. And I was like, okay, 2 hours, I'm out of here, right?
Did you go party that night?
Yeah.
Oh man.
So I didn't know if I just to be honest to you, I went and I walk and hang out with my friends, stuff like that. But I don't remember exactly, just to be honest to you. That it was like next week or that weekend.
But a seed was planted.
Exactly. And that's what I totally believe that whatever we meet people, or you see somebody over there, and you had something like, you know what, I'm gonna share this track. You know, I'm gonna be sharing. It's just a seed. The Holy Spirit is the one that's gonna be helping you to see the fruit.
We are the seed casters. We're not the convictors.
Amen.
That's the job
That's right.
of the Holy Spirit. Our job is to share the information and respond when the Holy Spirit tells us to open our mouth.
Exactly. Yeah. So, like I said, it was, I don't know if it was 3 months, 3 weeks. I mean, I don't know.
But God started working on your heart.
Yes. And let me tell you, I was in a party with some friends, stuff like that, outside in some house. And we were maybe like 15 people, you know, like, you know, boys and girls, you know, stuff like that. And I don't know, I mean, I always, since young age, I mean, I don't know, I mean, I have this, you know, I'm kind of like visual guy, you know, I mean, that's why we're in media and stuff. I like that kind of stuff. I always have, like, if I see you here, I don't know why, but I'm thinking like different angles. Maybe you see, I mean, you always see the camera.
A true filmmaker at heart.
Right?
Yeah. I see things in scenes as well.
Yeah.
When I hear music, pictures come into my mind.
So it's just, so I was sitting down, you know, and it was I remember it was Saturday night. Because on Friday evening, I mean, it was not too much party, so I was coming home like around 10 or something like that. But on Saturday night, say longer. But I was sitting down with my other friends, right? And I had this, you know, everybody, you know, a group over here, they were talking about like what they're gonna do with this girl. This group over here, they're laughing, they're doing naughty things, and over here they're just making drinks, and I mean, you know, things like that, you know, crazy stuff. So I was just sitting down and just kind of contemplating what's going on. You know, kind of like sit down and just look, and like, you know, things like that, right? It was 15 seconds. That's what I believe. It was like a 10 seconds, 15 seconds that the Holy Spirit just had this opportunity. And I believe, you know, the prayers of, for many people, parents, grandma, things like that. So I had this thought. It was not my thought, let me tell you. Because in those kind of time, you know, thinking, what are you doing here? This is not your world. And I'm thinking like, whoa, where does this thought come from? I mean, that's not mine. And I'm like, what? And I just kind of like get it. Like, this is God. This is not me. And I just like, what are you doing here? That's not your world. And I'm like, I put my drink on the side and I stand up and I tell my buddy, I'm out. And you know when you say you're out, like, I'm not turning back. When you say, hey, I see you later, yeah, I'm gonna come back later. But I tell him like, you know what, I'm out. And my buddy's like, what are you doing? It's 11:30 Saturday night, man. This is just starting right now. And he's like, no, I'm out. I don't need to be here. So I went home early for Saturday, and the next Monday or something, I wanted to read my Bible.
Wow.
And nobody gave me Bible study. My parents didn't say, hey, you need to sit down. I'm gonna tell you what do you believe, and you know, all the stuff. I knew that my parents, they had, you know, my dad, you know, lots of, you know, different, you know, Christian books and stuff like that. But they had this, you know, like a Bible study thing, you know. And I grabbed, it's kind of interesting. My dad had a Catholic Bible, this big ones, big letters. I don't know why I always like the Catholic Bible, because I don't know, it's heavy, maybe it's kind of intimidating. I don't know, I really like it. So I grabbed the Catholic Bible, and I got this Bible study, and I started with the Bible, but it's kind of heavy, you know. But I opened the Bible, and I had some questions and answers, but the answers wasn't the Bible. And I was the question, and I'm like, does in the Bible say that the answer? I mean, no way. So I go, Matthew, what? And I go over here, it's like another question, and whatever book in the Bible was the answer. I'm like, I couldn't believe it. That was my first experience having a Bible study, and I did it myself.
Wow. You know, you think of, just because you grew up in a Christian family and you just went to church on the weekends and things, you would naturally assume that, you know, people are familiar with the concepts of the Bible, but that's not always the case. You know, it takes your own individual investigation, and that's hopefully where we're leading all the young children and stuff, is to build that foundation with their own interactions with God. And I think that's what makes it powerful, is when your eyes actually see it, and you're the one that sees those two things together.
Yeah. So when I saw that, I was like, wow, I mean, this is great. So that was saying my senior year when I had my study, and I was going to high school, maybe sometime late because I used to get up at 5 a.m. to do my Bible study to go there. And let me tell you, the principal, before, after reading my Bible, I cut my hair, fix it up, very nice. If you told me you need to put your shirt under,
tuck your shirt in,
I mean, that's ridiculous, man. I mean, I don't dress like that, And after reading the Bible, I mean, seriously, like God, the power of the gospel, changed us, right? You're not gonna be dressing like that. You're not gonna listen to that kind of music because no, I mean, now Jesus saying, you're asking the Holy Spirit to be with you, right? And He's gonna guide you, like, okay, don't do this, don't eat this thing, transform your life. So all those black and dress and all the stuff you used to have, and I remember the principal of the high school come to me and he said, Castillejos, I mean, they don't tell you about your name, like always with the last name down there, and he said, Castillejos, he said, I don't know what you're doing, but I've been seeing you for all these 3 years. High school down there is 3 years, and he said, but you're doing something different. I don't want to know what you're doing, but I just want to let you know, keep doing what you're doing because it's working. That's what he told me. And I was like, wow, thank you, And I was going to church and everything, and I was baptized in December 28, 1996.
Wow. That was when I graduated high school.
Okay.
In 1996.
96. So I graduated in 1997. So that was my only first time to be baptized because my daddy was this kind of mentality. Of course, I don't want my kids to. They need to know this is serious stuff. They're gonna be knowing what they're doing. So I started that, but the important thing is that reading the Bible, I found those amazing Bible verses that in Psalms chapter 25 verses, I don't remember exactly the verses, but it says that forget the sins of your youth. And to me, Scotty, I mean, that was like a cold water in my soul. Like He's gonna forget all the things that I done. I mean, that was like a taste of mercy. I was so I just grabbed it. I was
it's a very interesting thought to think of God forgetting something like we're talking about the one that created everything, always has lived, it's never been not living, and it's like His mind is superior to every other mind that could possibly ever be created and probably collectively together. But He chooses to say, no, not that part. I'm gonna not even think about it.
Yeah, that's right. So I'm gonna read it because it's very powerful verse.
Beautiful.
In Psalms 25, starting in verse 4, says, "Show me your ways, O Lord. Teach me your paths. Lead me in your truth and teach me, for you are the God of my salvation. O you I wait all day. Remember, O Lord, your tender mercies and your loving kindness, that they are from the all." Verse 7, it said, "Do not remember the sins of my youth, nor my transgression. According to your mercy, remembers me, for your goodness' sake, O Lord." And verse 8, "Good and upright is the Lord. Therefore, He teaches sinners in the way."
Wow, it's beautiful.
So it's to me, it's like, wow. I mean, He's the one who's gonna teach the sinners the way how to go. Like I forgive all the sins of my youth, but it's right there of your youth. And let me tell you, it's like, wow. In that moment, I was really thinking like, wow. That afternoon, did that gangster guy come over and he put the gun in my head, and he's like, "No, you're done here." Because supposedly I was talking bad about him, and I was like, "What are you talking about?" And he was just right there, and somebody was, like, "Hey, you need to don't do that," stuff like that. But he didn't have any bullets inside.
Oh wow!
And he just shoot it, and just to teach me a lesson. So it was the moment. It was very, and I was like, man, of course God was there, like wow. And I know a moment that I was just thinking, after you you find in the Bible that God, it was there. What I was doing that Saturday night, we hang out with some friends and shooting some cars. And one of the cars, it was from Federales, Mexico. And they were following us. And inside of me is like, I need to get out of this truck because if they get me, they got me. I mean, I'm going to go to a federal prison just to go shooting people's car. You're not supposed to do that. So, you know, what I did is in one of the corners and the cars that were following us, in one of the corners, I say, I need to jump. And I did. And one of the jumps, and I just jumped, and I went under a car just to hit it myself.
Wow.
And it's just, and my friends, they went to jail for a few months.
Wow.
And it was not me, you know, and many things, you know, and to me, it's like God was there. Yeah. You know, it's still there, you know, and every day, you know. But I just thank the God that, and the Word of God, you find truth, you find salvation, and always He's knocking the door, you know, like, come daughter, come son, you know, I have a plans for you, and it's better than what you have. Right.
Is that fun, running around in a car shooting at people and then fearfully, you know, trying to like, oh, I'm gonna get caught, like is that fun? Basically, I think if you really sat down and were honest with it, you would say God's ways are always better. They're always full of peace and happiness and joy. I mean, the joy aspect, when you're living in a life like that, there's no joy in that. Yeah, things are funny, or sin can be fun for a season, but it's not joyous, you know, like the Bible describes that our relationship will give you. So you're starting to feel the pull to come back to God. At what point did you kind of even stumble across our work, and what was that like?
Well, let me tell you, that was in 2011. And you know, I was just here in the United States, you know, married, you know, with 2 beautiful daughters, stuff like that. But in 2011, I used to go to this site. It's called Audioverse. And, you know, back then it was MP3, those things. And I used to go there and download, you know, I mean, it's free sites that you say you can download for free, you know, sermons. And I used to listen to sermons and go to bed with listening to my sermons. I mean, that was, you know, that's what that's what I was doing. And I listened to a lot of sermons, but it was one sermon. It's called American Idols by Scott Meyer. And I was like, I don't know who's that guy, but the title, maybe they're going to be talking about music, right? I mean, American Idols, you know? So I downloaded, and that evening, you know, by 11 o'clock or something like that, my wife's sleeping, and I'm like, okay, I'm listening to my sermon, right? You were talking there, and you were talking about how the superheroes come from, and their own directors and writers said that the superheroes are, you know, from different gods and civilization and Greeks, Egyptians and all stuff. And I'm like, what he's talking about? Right? Like, what this guy, the more powerful thing it was is that you were playing those clips of those movies. And let me tell you, when I was in young age, you know, like when I was a kid, you know, I mean, 1989, Batman was in the movie theater. I mean, I was there. And that was changed my world, you know. Batman, it was, for me, it was part of me. Why? Because it's not a person that has like powers on things. It's human, but during the day is, you know, Bruce Wayne, you know, in the night it's the Dark Knight, you know, it's Batman. So to me, it's like, wow, I mean, I'm a nice Christian guy, right? But in the nighttime, I mean, I'm just putting my different t-shirt and I'm becoming a different person. So that's why I was like, you know, Batman, me is like, wow, that's my guy, right? So when you were talking about Batman and all those clips, and I was like, what are you talking about? I mean, I watched that movie for 20 times. I know the whole thing. But you were saying, you know, exposing that they were attacking God, the 10 Commandments, the truth about the century message and God, you know, for the 10 Commandments, you know, stuff like that. So I was like, whoa, I never see that in that angle. And I was listening to it. I was not watching your presentation. You know how it is, right? I mean, the power of the mind is more powerful, imagining things. So the next day I went to my computer, you know, big monitor, and I went to check it out. I was like, who are Little Light Studios? and I watched a few clips, and I mean, it was only a few clips and on a YouTube channel. and it was like, wow. And it was, you know, I told my girl, we're not watching that kind of stuff in Disney. We're not doing the kind of stuff, you know, and we get clean the house.
Wow.
And I need to share that with my girls, you know, teach them. But the thing is that I call you guys because I was like, this message is in English. You guys have this in Spanish. And I remember, you know, somebody answered the phone. I don't know, you or Brandon or something, because sometimes to me it was kind of like the same voice.
Yeah,
like,
Brandon and I did have similar voices.
Yeah, seriously, talking on the phone. So I was like,
that was because we hung out so much. You know, you kind of mold together when you do that.
Yeah, so I told him like, hey, you know, I just want to help. You know, you guys do have in Spanish. No, we don't have anybody. Maybe somebody sometimes they help us, but so I was like, I mean, I would have to translate. I mean, my mother tongue, you know, Spanish, right? So I was like, I can help, you know, because I saw the need of my community, right? The Hispanic community, the Latino community. I was like, these messages need to know in Spanish, and I want to help, right? I mean, you know, so you guys sent me a file. I mean, I still have those files and the emails, you know, back then, 2011, and it's I sent you the first email, a Magic Kingdom. And I'm like, okay, let's do the Magic Kingdom, you know.
And the tools back then were very, very like rough. So when you would do a translation, I mean, it was painstakingly slow.
Yeah.
You had to type out not only just what's being said, but I mean, the little time code that was on there.
Has to be.
Yeah. And it just took months to even do one video. Now it's like AI, one click of a button, bink, change the language.
Exactly. You know, and you got to be very, you know, sometimes you know, think about it, like 45 minutes, 1 hour sermon. I mean, we're talking about
months of work.
Yeah. We're talking about like maybe like 38 to 42 pages of translated people talking, you know, and then sharing and stuff like that. So it was a lot of work, you know, and then also, I mean, I'm working 40 hours, maybe plus 60 hours because I, you know, overtime, stuff like that. But I used to get up at 4 a.m. to translate, you know, and the false system of worship, you know, and all the stuff. And I remember, you know, these artists, you know, sell the soul to the devil, you know, I'm translating that thing. And I mean, it's just those moments. So I started just to be a translator, you know, person. And then in 2012, I remember we were talking back and forth, and you guys is like, oh, what about because I was like, okay, it's nice to put subtitles, so make it work fast. But I told you guys, you know, my people need to hear the voice. Yeah. You know, and so I went to Paradise, back then, Paradise, to do the voiceover for Controller 1. And it was hard to do the voiceover because I didn't know the voiceover. So that's what we started. So the whole point is that, you know, I helped 4 or 5 documentaries, you know, to bring it into Spanish, you know, Replacement God, you know, in Spanish, you know, Pseudology in Spanish. So in 2012, later on, I mean, I remember that day you guys invite me and say, hey, we want somebody to go to do this Battlefield Hollywood in Spanish, these seminars. And I'm like, I'm just the translator guy. You know what I'm saying? I'm just behind the scene. I was not thinking, you know, like, oh, someday I'm going to be in the front. You know, I just want to help. And I said, well, let me pray for that. And I accepted later on. And going to different places, you know, Guatemala, Canada, Mexico, many times, Puerto Rico, I mean, many times around, you know, the United States, and to go, you know, bilingual, sharing English and Spanish. But it's so neat, you know.
Yeah, we went to Florida together in the Keys. Remember that?
Yeah, in the Keys, Florida. We went to another events and big events and different places, you know, Houston and Orlando and things like that. So I was there, you know, volunteering for 9 years.
Yeah, still, I mean, keep in mind, he was literally spending 40 hours at work and then waking up in the wee hours of the morning and working on it just little bits at a time. And so, you know, it was really neat when it came around to, I think, 2016, 17, 18. When did we officially?
On 2020.
2020. Okay, so it took us even from that point of you moonlighting for 7 years.
Yeah.
About? Like how long did you work before you came on full time?
9 years.
9 years.
Yeah. 2011 to 2020.
I mean, that's an investment of time, and you know, we just never really were stable enough to have a full, just dedicated person to the Spanish side of things. So 2020, you got the invitation to come out and do this full time, and that was a big move for your whole family to move from Oregon.
Yes.
We moved from California. Now we live in Tennessee, and so moving you from Oregon to Tennessee, that's a big change.
Yes, big change. And
how'd that go?
Well, the Lord works in different ways. I mean, let me tell you, because that was in April when it was in the invitation, and I was like, wow, that's my dream job, you know, finally, you know, full time, you know, things like that. And of course, you know, fixing the house, you know, trying to sell it, you know, and you know, things like that. But trying to sell the house, and let me tell you, the person who was trying to sell the house is like, you know, this, you know, right now the market is so good, and the house is gonna be like in less than a month, it's gonna be selling the house. I was like, okay, right on. 3 months, nothing, and it was very, very hard, because it's like, you know, where are we gonna put our stuff, you know, things like that, you know, a lot of stress, you know. And September 8th, it was the fires in Southern Oregon, the Alameda fires, wildfires, and 2,500 residents burned down to the ground, and one of them was my home. Yes,
I remember this. This is very close proximity to you moving out here.
Yeah.
I mean, was it weeks? I don't remember. It was days.
Yeah, days. Yeah, because we were like, I remember I shared with you guys like, hey, I think somebody's, you know, gonna buy the house, and I'm out like in 2 weeks. I can just move, right? And the fire just show up. Like,
and remind me the story of right before the fires actually happened. I think it was your daughter had a dream that the house was burning down to the ground, and she told your wife.
Yeah.
And tell us about that.
We had home insurance, but it was not in our name. We were living in my in-laws' house, and because we were helping him and stuff like that, and he had insurance, but you know, he's older, stuff like that, so it was not in our name, right? So the thing is that my daughter had a dream and shared with my other daughter, and shared. You know, sometimes young kids are like, hey, don't share, you know, I don't know what's going on. But it was very tragedy just to share that with you. It was not just like, oh, I had that dream. You know, it was like she was kind of living in that, you know, like she get up and she was thinking like
it was
the whole house. Exactly. So everything was on fire, and she couldn't open a window and fire's there. Open another window, a fire there. She couldn't leave the house because it was fire all over the place. And it was very bad. And so she shared that with my daughter, oldest daughter, and my oldest daughter's like, I need to share that with mom. And my wife and my oldest daughter went out one afternoon, and she's like, Mom, I need to share that something with you, and this has happened. And my wife's like, wow. I mean, it's very interesting that, you know, sometimes some of the kids, you know, they share something, you're like, oh, you ate too much pizza you know, last night or something like that. But thank God, you know, the Holy Spirit is like, no, this is truth. Something's coming or something like that. So my wife is like, no, we need to have our own insurance. You know, my dad is older and stuff like that. So we switch, and like in that parking lot, my wife, you just call and and you know, in 10 minutes you have in your name, you have home insurance. And like a week later, I'm not kidding you, the house burned.
Yeah, I think it was like 5 days, I think is what you said. So from the time that his wife made the switch of the insurance company, 5 days later, burned down to the ground, lost everything. And you moved out here with literally the shirt on your back.
I'm not kidding you. I mean, seriously, I think when I came from Mexico, came to the United States in 1999
you had more
with
stuff.
more clothes. Yeah, seriously, with more clothes. You know, because let me tell you, it was a huge shock. I mean, it's not like when you go to the mall or go places to buy clothes, you're thinking, oh, look at that red one. Do you think I like, you know, the red one or the blue one? You know, it's like, no, I don't want to feel like, you know, like buying a clothes. Like, leave me alone, like I lost everything.
Yeah.
Memories and stuff, and I know there's stuff, but it's yours. I mean, I want that jeans that I bought it, and 2005. Like I like that old jeans. Never gonna have it. Again.
So that was quite an adjustment on you coming out here. That's how you began work with us. I remember we would slowly see you come in with new outfits. You're like, Alex has been shopping.
Yeah, like it's new,
Yes. But it's been an absolute joy. When you joined up with us, our team was just starting to really expand, grow. You saw us go from a borrowed space to we actually paid rent before we bought this building that we're in right now. We had rent, and that was the only time that in the history of the ministry in 15 years that we'd ever even paid for anywhere to be. God had provided a space constantly for us to work out of. And then he was just opening doors left and right, and then we got a chance to get this building, and everybody kind of got their own little office space. We were quite crammed in that one space that we were using when you first showed up. I think there was like 6 of us in one single room.
In one single room. We used to do that and stuff like that, and we were making videos for you guys.
So it's been a beautiful journey to see you coming along board and really helping us out. The Spanish stuff has gone out into the world, and we've given lots of them away. We wish we had a whole team to dedicate to that, because I know in the Spanish world there's so many more believers than even in the English world. It's like the majority of the world speak Spanish.
680 million something.
So it's like I think it's a very awesome thing that you've added to our ministry, and it's been a blessing having you aboard. You're now you've accepted a job and a calling to go and work in a university. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, the first year is going to be, managing the office, stuff like that. But they have a mission to build a studio there. And I mean, they asked me to say you had some tools you can bring, and we've been watching you, what you do, and we'd love you come to help us, in that matter. So I was like, wow, that's a opportunity. Let's put it that way, And I was like, wow, I pray a lot and I accept it. And it's kind of weird to say, this is my dream job, like to be here finally, but God is good. I mean, God put us different places for a reason,
Exactly. And to be honest, the way I've began to view ministry work is we're all on the same team. So we have, the same common goal. Let's try to take as many people to heaven as possible. Let's inspire as many people as we possibly can to make that decision for Jesus. And, sometimes that work takes its form in many different ways, but together we're still lockstep, and we're, headed in the same direction. So, you're always welcome to come back and do some work with us. And I think, you're still planning on doing some moonlighting with the translation. But, we want to inspire you guys, to get involved in ministry work. Really, honestly, I think we're at the day and age that every single person needs to have some active involvement in the ministry. If you're not working for your local church, or you're not helping support some kind of ministry work, or translating, or just lending your expertise, I mean, people don't even really think about, but if you don't have any direct access to either work in a ministry capacity, you can always send money to help ministries grow and help them push the work out. And so I believe that everybody should be involved in this work. And I want to inspire you guys, get involved if it's not financially supporting. And we're not just saying, hey, look, you should just donate to us. You should pick a ministry that you really believe is doing something that you're passionate about, and put some energy behind them. We only have existed at Little Light because of the generosity of people. And this work, unfortunately, as much as we'd like to think it's free, it's not. It takes time and money and resources and all these things to put messages out there. And we do our best to share these messages for free. And, even selling DVDs, that money just went right back into the pool so that we could hire other people and do that. So I just wanted to let you guys know, get in the habit of supporting God's work, and we want to thank you first and foremost, all of you that do support this work, because we got a chance to work together because of your generosity. So thank you guys.
Yeah. And I'm going to add to it because, sometimes, we support different things, maybe you buy coffee or a monthly thing of this, you listen to, membership for
people watching these
$70,
account, right?
$30,
$15 a Netflix account.
Yeah, stuff like that, constantly. If it's not, on media, but you buying something, can you imagine if you say, you know what, I'm not going to be drinking my Starbucks for a month, one time, even on one, I mean, those $7 or something like that, $20, send it to a ministry, and I just want to be saying, support the Spanish department, write down in Spanish or Little Light Studios or something like that. We do things a lot for free. I mean, just to be honest with you, and just support this ministry. If these Little Light Studios really change your life, if you know that this is a huge blessing, and go talk to God. I'm not kidding you. Go talk to God and say, you know what, I'm going to put this a little percentage, this is for Little Light Studios, for this ministry, because they're really each week bringing something new. It's going to change my life. So I just want to encourage you. He didn't tell me anything. So I just want to tell you, support Little Light Studios. We do a lot of things, a lot of different ministries, and the reason why, because we want to share with other people the love of God.
Amen.
That's the whole thing, and it costs money, like you were saying, it costs money. It costs money, we need to pay.
Amen. But overall, even if you don't do that, you can simply pray for us.
Amen. That's
right. And that we covet more than anything else. Yeah. Keep us in your prayers.
Our
Keep
families.
Alex and his family, yes, in your prayers as he's opening up a new chapter of life here. And you're heading out a whole nother venture that could potentially win a lot of college students to the gospel,
Yes.
So I want to really thank you for your time that you have spent with our ministry and wish you the best. But this is not a goodbye.
That's right.
This is just a, I'm going to be rooting you on. And thank you so much for the work that you have given to us thus far.
Yeah.
Also, keep in mind and keep in prayer Alex's ministry, Just Be Blessed. If you guys really are inspired by people's stories, people's testimonies, you want some encouragement. You've got a lot of different testimonies on there of people that you would not have expected ever to give their heart to God.
Seriously.
And it's like when you hear their stories and God won their heart, all of us have friends, family members, people we know of that are not walking with the Christ right now.
Yeah.
And pray for those people. And then, get inspired by listening to some of the stories about the ways God reached those people. So just be blessed. Check them out, YouTube page, like them, subscribe, and definitely keep Alex in your prayer in that venture.
Yes. And maybe somebody said, why testimonies, right? Why testimonies? And the thing is that, to me, is like so powerful. I mean, I'm not kidding you. I mean, your story, my story is to bring, it's a lot of people out there that have stories like us, but to me it's like how this person was from point A to point B, how it was in that middle thing. When God was intervened, that he said, you know what, this is my son, this is my daughter, and I'm gonna work on that. They make that decision, and we're still working, right? I mean, until Jesus comes, right? But the thing is that those kind of stories, like, I want to share with people, and that's my driving. When you have time for that, I don't know. Everybody has a hobby, right? My hobby is like translate. Some people ask me like, "What do you do for a hobby?" You go golfing. I was like, "No, I translate." I do. My Thursday nights is my, couple hours I take. This is what I do. This is my hobby. That's what I like to do. So, keep some hobby that is gonna be sharing the gospel.
That's right.
Seriously,
it's what you'll be doing throughout eternity. I imagine that when this whole mess is all said and done, and we are living in a sinless environment, in a blissful environment, people are still going to come to you and be curious about how God won your heart. And so throughout eternity, I imagine we'll be sharing stories about those moments that God got to me. And I have nothing to offer, and God still bestowed a lot of love upon me that I did not deserve. And I know he can do that for you. So Awesome. Thank you for listening. And don't forget to like and subscribe to this.
Yeah.
And if you want to get involved, definitely check us out on littlelightstudios.tv. We've got a lot of different ways you can support this ministry through Patreon. You can go to lightwear.shop, buy our cool t-shirts that support the gospel. And hey, you're promoting something that hopefully will have a lasting influence upon people. And but overall, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Let me tell you.
If you're looking for good, wholesome, educational content for your children, subscribe to our new channel, Little Light Kids.
There has been very few movies in the history of the world that have completely changed our world. And in 1999, a movie titled The Matrix hit the world stage.
These stories are often told and seen over and over again. Is it simply just to make money? Or is there something more nefarious behind it?